Next, learn about the man who went from Cleveland High School to head a billion-dollar athletic giant. Phil Knight's run to become Nike chief has been told often, and tonight we'll listen to the man. The Medford Meteor remains an Oregonian after setting the bowling world on fire during the 70s and 80s. Marshall Holman rewrote record books, yet stays humble dealing with his fame. And one of the greatest masters swimmers in the world, and the best to ever come from the state of Oregon. All next on Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
Today's show will cover a variety of sports and the athletes who competed, won, and became legendary members of the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. This show will also look at some of the inductees who contributed to sports. Perhaps there's no one larger on that front than Mr. Phil Knight. Oregonian through and through, and legend in the business world of sports. Here is Nike's Phil Knight.
This summer we've been in the process of writing 20 maxims for the company, for the 23,000 people. And number 14 is, remember the man. The man is Bill Bowerman, and he passed away in his sleep on Christmas Eve at age 88. We are of him and from him. He was strategically eccentric, naturally motivational, complete in his understanding of sports and the athlete, tireless in his pursuit of innovation. There is no book or movie that can give justice to his contribution or express his spirit. We will always try to be that company which would make him proud. And very lastly, I taught accounting at Portland State for 2 years, and I have kept track over the years for a few of those former students. 3 of them have become partners in Big 6 CPA firms. One of them, Dennis Peterson, is head of the tax department at Nike. And another one is in the audience tonight. I married Penny Parks 32 years ago. And if I could not have done the things I did without an algebra teacher who cut me from the baseball team, wonderful parents, great coaches, and great teammates, it is doubly true that I could not have done them without her. Thank you, Penny, and thank you, everybody.
A lightweight boxer with 145 wins in 156 amateur fights and undefeated in 22 pro bouts, Tom Moyer is recognized as one of the greatest boxers ever produced by the state of Oregon.
In 1940, a young fighter out of the Multnomah Athletic Club named Tommy Moyer drove to Rochester, New York from Portland, Oregon. It took him 5 days and a good part of 5 nights. When he got there, he had 3 days to get ready for a championship fight. The title was Champion of Champions. He was fighting a young fighter who was about to turn professional named Sugar Ray Robinson. Tommy fought Sugar Ray 3 days after arriving in Rochester, and he lost a split decision. Like most split decisions, they say this one could have gone either way, but it went against Tom. But he never lost another fight in his entire career. As a matter of fact, the following year, Tom took the airplane to Rochester, New York, fought again, and won the title that eluded him at the hands of Sugar Ray. Well, how good was this guy? Tom was Pacific Coast champion in 1935, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41, the year before he went in the Army. He was Golden Gloves champion. He was National Diamond Belt champion. He was Oregon State champion. He was Michigan State champion. And the list goes on and on. He was good. He was as good as they come in those days. It was Marilyn who got Tom out of the ring, really, kind of by the ear, sort of, he says. Together they built 360 theaters in Oregon, California, Washington, Alaska, Nevada. And then after she died, he sold the theaters. He built the beautiful Marilyn Moyer Memorial Chapel out at the Grotto. You see it when you come over the 205 bridge in memory of her. After he sold the theaters, Tom went to work changing the skyline in this city he loves. You see it in the beautiful Broadway building he built on the site of the old Broadway Theater. I'm delighted in being one of the first to congratulate you on being elected to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. There are many other halls where your name could be hung for reasons of courage, creativity, character, and a giving of yourself to other people. But the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is where they know what the meaning is behind a stiff left jab and a knockdown right. It's probably where you belong. Congratulations, Tom.
I've had a gifted life. Been very, very lucky. I can remember as a young man, as a projectionist in the theater, watching a newsreel of Lou Gehrig. He was dying at the time. And he made a farewell speech in Yankee Stadium to his fans. And in his speech, he ended it by saying that he was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Well, Lou, wherever you are, move over. There's two of us.
Coming up, the fist-pumping pro bowler who added an emotional dimension to the game.
Great athletes, great Oregonians. From the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson. Financial advice for the long run.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
He's an Oregonian and probably one of the most talented players to ever roll a bowling ball down an alley. His genuine excitement for the game is contagious. Marshall Holman's success and popularity, timed with television coverage, expanded the growth and popularity of his sport. Here's the story of Marshall Holman.
I first met Marshall in the early 1970s as a young upstart from Medford, Oregon with a whole bunch of hair. After dominating bowling in the Northwest For a short period of time, Marshall decided to go out on the national tour. At the age of 20, he won his first national championship, the Fresno Open. 1 year later, he won his first major championship, the Tournament of Champions. From that point on, Marshall became a dominant force in bowling. In 1981, Marshall won his first of 2 U.S. Open titles. He won that event again in 1985, and in 1986, he won his second Tournament of Champions. The next year, Marshall was voted Bowler of the Year by his peers. 3 times Marshall led the average on the national tour. After 22 national titles, 4 major championships, in 1990, Marshall was inducted into the Professional Bowlers Association Hall of Fame. In 1996, Marshall traded in his bowling ball for a microphone, and for the next 4 years was the voice of the Pro Bowlers Tour on television. It is my privilege and my honor to present to you this evening the latest inductee into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, the great Marshall Holman.
One of the great things about being a professional bowler was having the opportunity to live wherever I wanted to. And I chose to stay in beautiful Southern Oregon. It's where I was brought up, and I'm glad I stayed. I really enjoyed it. And once again, what a privilege it is to be an inductee into the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Linda Johnson from Gresham's Barlow High School arrived at Portland State University in 1982 and went on to become one of the greatest players in Vikings volleyball history.
It was at the collegiate level at Portland State that Linda gained national recognition. She was the first female volleyball player in NC2A history to be selected first-team All-American 4 straight years, from 1982 to 1985. During that time, Linda helped her Portland State teams to a 3rd-place national finish in 1982, a 2nd-place national finish in 1983, and back-to-back national championships here in Portland in 1984 and 1985.
This was better than the first one. Really? 2 was, I don't know if it was out of our reach or not, but now that we got it, it's the best. I don't know how many teams get 2 national championships in a row. It's great.
Her college career was complete with her selection as the 1985 American Volleyball Coaches Association Player of the Year. Her United States Volleyball Association teams finished 2nd at the national tournament in 1987 and won the USBBA National Championship in 1988. In 1989, Linda became a member of the United States national team and represented her country as a player for 2 years before becoming a member of the coaching staff for the Barcelona Olympics when the United States team won a bronze medal. Linda Johnson represents a decade of excellence in women's sports in the state of Oregon. It was my good fortune to have coached her, and it is my sincere privilege to be a part of Linda Johnson's induction into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
I'd really like to thank my family, my friends, Portland State University, and my outstanding teammates for all the success that I've had over the years. In the 20 years that I've been playing, I've also seen volleyball grow so much in Oregon, and I'm happy to be a catalyst for that growth. I've continued to play volleyball. I'm playing probably better now at 31 years old than I ever did when I was 21 years old. And I think I owe a debt of gratitude to my coaches. That would be my 7th and 8th grade coach, Terry Newberger, who's now at Mount Hood Community College, my high school coach, Bob Holstrom from Barlow High School, my club coach, Carl Newberger, and my collegiate coaches, Marlene Piper and Jeff and Marty Mizaki. They were great role models, great friends, and great teachers, and I just hope that I can live in their footsteps. Thanks once again for this special honor.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame has an expansive collection of artifacts and memorabilia. Len Sutton, known as the greatest race driver from the state of Oregon, he made 7 starts at the Indianapolis 500. You have his race suit here and his leather racing helmet. Larry Mahan started competing in rodeo at age 14. He was a 6-time all-world, all-around rodeo champion. You have his cowboy hat and his boots. Oregon's favorite cowboy, Larry Mahan.
Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.
I personally think sports are good for kids, and I would encourage a kid to participate, but not everybody is going to be a good athlete. They're not born that way. And if a parent puts a lot of pressure on a child to participate in sports and the kid is not a good athlete, you're just building up the disappointment that that kid will experience at some point down the road when he gets cut from a team or doesn't make it to the next level. And so if the kid's just doing what he wants to do, I think the child is much more likely to, if he senses that he is not a good athlete and isn't having success at it, that he may voluntarily and with a lot more ease move into art, music, what other endeavor he wants to excel in.
For more than 35 years, this local sports broadcaster delivered the day's sports, announced the games, caught the fish, and played golf all over the Northwest. You might think, what a dream job. And he would answer, you're darn right it was.
The Ducks of Oregon probably gained the state and Northwest football, more converts by the Rose Bowl showing than any other team in history. Although losing 10-7 to the Big Ohio
It all started in the same manner of the careers of many successful sports broadcasters. Doug Lemire grew up in the Rose City, playing baseball at Benson High School and caddying for golfers at Waverly Country Club. His passion for those sports fueled his drive to cover the games that he loved. Radio was the king of media in the late 40s. When Doug began his career in the Mid-Valley, the still evolving medium of television beckoned back in 1956 when Lemire joined the KGW-TV news team. Doug Lemire, Richard Ross, Ivan Scott, and Jack Capel. Throughout his career, Doug enjoyed interviewing celebrities from the sports world who visited the state of Oregon. After 46 years in broadcasting, Lemire's name lives on.
None of us were as successful as we were to become. We worked together well. Richard and I, in all the years we worked together, we had one argument. We cleared the newsroom when it happened. but that's the only time we had an argument about something that I wanted to do and he didn't want me to do. And I went ahead and did it. Working with those guys was so much fun.
Well, you did it magnificently, Doug.
The lessons these inductees are sharing have the ability to impact all of us. High school student athletes are also getting lessons from their sports. With me now is Shoni Schimmel from Franklin High School, a basketball player. As a sophomore, you were the state player of the year. What lessons have you taken or have you learned in sports?
Just always go out there and play my best, play my hardest, go out there to win. I mean, that's what it's all about, really.
And I've got a young daughter who's 6 years old, dribbles the basketball around. How old were you when you started playing?
I was 4.
4 years old. And who were you playing with at 4 years old? Was it?
At 4, I was just playing by myself at home. Like, I was always dribbling around, and I'd always get in trouble, but and they'd always let me do it because they just let me dribble. So.
Can you take some of the lessons that you learned in sports and apply them in other things, like when you go to college or a job someday? I mean,
a lot of that has to do with like my mom being there because she was my coach for like a lot of the years. So yeah, I've learned both on and off basketball.
What is that like to have mom at home, mom at around the team? Is she the same person?
Sometimes she is, but a lot of the times she's like I'll be like her player and like I'll be her daughter. Like it just depends really, but most of the time she's the same. Yeah.
This last season, your junior season, you had some ankle injuries. You sat out for part of the season. What was that like?
It was difficult just sitting there, but like as a player, I learned a lot more like off the court because I could watch more. And like this year, I watched my sister play a lot, and I just learned a lot from her just watching her.
And when you look now at little boys grow up and they see LeBron James or Kobe, who are your idols when you look at basketball?
LeBron is probably right now, but I like Michael too, but LeBron's more of a favorite.
Any WNBA players? I mean,
Candace Parker, she jumps out there, yeah.
And what is that about Candace Parker that makes her somebody that you would?
Just because like she's like a very good athlete and she just does it all, so she's just my idol.
Thank you, Shoni Schimble, Franklin High School. Thank you.
Next, Lavelle Stoinoff still holds records that won't be beat. Her story coming up on Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Great Athletes, Great Oregonians from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson, financial advice for the long run.
One of the greatest master swimmers in the world and the best to ever come out of the state of Oregon, here's the story of Hall of Fame inductee Lavelle Stoinoff.
She made her first appearance in master swimming December 18, 1976, at the age of 43. She swam the 200 freestyle in 2:48.60, and then at the age of 63, she swam it again in 2:25.85, which, by the way, is the current national record for the 60-64 age group. Lavelle currently holds national records for 4 events in the 60 to 64 age group and 5 events for the 65 to 69 age group. At the first World Masters competition in 1988, Lavelle was a gold medalist in the 400, 800 free, the 200 back, and the 200 breast, and also in the 400 individual medley. Every year from 1978 on, Lavelle has been ranked #1 in the world in various events. She showed us a real dedication in her training. Her workouts normally totaled 4,000 to 5,000 yards per day, 5-6 days a week. I would take Lavelle's time and compare them with the men's time in the same age group. And as long as it was 400 and up, she would be in the top 2 to 5 in every single event that she swam in. And this used to bother the men a little bit. As one of the founders of Masters Swimming in Oregon, I would like to say that there is no one more deserving for high athletic honors than Lavelle Stoinoff.
I am very grateful to be the first master swimmer to be inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. I really do feel I have accomplished something. And a final thought I would like to leave with you tonight is, as a master swimmer, I hope I can inspire the young and old, realizing that one's life does not need to slow down with age. Thank you very much.
This show has included Phil Knight, Tom Moyer, Marshall Holman. You might have noticed these were Oregonians from the start who went on to national and global success but opted to stay in Oregon and develop successful businesses. The lessons we can all learn here range from the great vision of Knight to the fight in Moyer and the passion in Holman, and how those things don't have to end when you leave competitive sport. Athletics reveals those traits inside of you, and as an athlete, it's your choice whether you continue to let them live inside of you later in life.
D.A. Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.